Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Hello, our preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
We are here talking about scary traditions today because we are at a time of year where in our country Halloween is coming, and then the December holidays that are celebrated by so many different cultures. So many holidays start in December and then go into the winter, the beginning of winter. So we felt like we needed to talk about reactions of children to some of the things that go on, that we have these long-standing generational traditions that might scare them.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of those still scare me, and I'm an adult.
Sorry to hear that. Was that never acknowledged when you were a child?
I feel like it's just so ingrained in you that you're like, this is what you do on this holiday, or you know what I mean? And then you feel like, oh, I can't say no. It's like, I don't want to disappoint people by not doing this, but at the same time, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
We very much have my mother used to say, still does, I guess, but she always used to say, we do this or we don't do that. Yes. We meaning my culture.
Yeah. Yes. Well, for me, like my family does say that we do it this way, and they don't mean culture. It's we as the family, like this is what we do. And I'm like, I am a member of that family. I'm not going to do it. Which I did. I did that for the first time for Thanksgiving this past year because I was like, I'm not attending the Thanksgiving family dinner. And I did that for my own mental health. And it was wonderful for me. And my family accepted it and they were fine. They did not accept it at first. They're like, no, we eat dinner together.
We do this. And I think we pass these things down just like a knee-jerk reaction. This is what we do. Yes. This is what we do. But you might have a child or in your class or at home who's like, no, this is scary.
It's not what I want to do. This is scary.
Multiple cultures have holidays, not just Halloween, but multiple cultures have holidays where there's dress up.
Yes.
Okay. Children enjoy dressing up themselves most of the time, if they like what you're putting them in, but they don't necessarily like other people dressed up. That can be scary.
Right. And I think like when they're dressing up on their own, there's so much choice there. They're choosing what they want to wear. When it's something like a Halloween or another holiday where they have to dress up, they're in control of what they wear, but they're not in control of what other people are wearing. And that's where it can, I think, get very scary with some of these masks that you wear for some of these holidays. I just think it's frightening, you know? And there's so much that's out of their control that makes it scary too.
You know, I think I'm somebody who tends to lean into tradition a bit, and I think it's important to expose your children to tradition, but I also think that we have to respect when they are frightened.
Yeah.
Especially because I find that so many of these things that have been done generation after generation after generation take children's autonomy over their own bodies away, over their decision-making power away. Yes, there are things that are just decided for you. And I understand wanting to expose children to all of this. I get it. But the child is going to let you know from a very young age if they are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When young children are uncomfortable, they will hide. They will cower behind you. They will scream and cry. They will run in the opposite direction. Am I leaving anything out? They will cling to you.
They'll cling. Yeah.
they'll hide their eyes. I remember sometimes my children, when they were scared and they were really little and I would be holding them because they were scared, they would just bury their faces in my neck.
Yeah, because sometimes I think they think like, oh, if I can't see it, it's not going to happen. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. And, for so many generations, we looked at young children and said, stop, you're being silly.
Yeah. There's something to
Something's
be afraid
scaring
of
them.
here.
Right. There's
Yeah.
nothing to be scared of. You're being silly.
Yeah.
They have their own reasons for being afraid that they can't express to you.
Yeah.
Or for not liking it that they can't express to you. And I actually kind of believe that when they are young and we say, regardless of how you feel, we're forcing you to do this and you're being silly and stop the nonsense, that as they get older, they're more likely to walk away from the tradition than stay with it. I really believe that. I
That's
think if
true.
we give them the time and the space to not like it, to leave the room, to be scared, they, as they get older, might approach it a little more when they are more knowledgeable about the world around them and a little less fearful, maybe.
Right. I also think this whole like telling them like, oh, you're being silly kind of thing leads to them never telling you when they're scared about anything. And you want to keep those lines of communication open with your kid because things can get very, very scary as they're growing up. And if you keep telling them that their fear doesn't matter, they're like, well, I'm not going to tell her or him that I'm scared. And they're either going to do things that they are at risk for doing, or you're not going to know what's going on in your kid's life, and you really should, like, it's like their feelings are valid and you need to tell them that they're valid. Even if you sit there and in your head, you think it's silly that they're scared of something. Yeah, but you need to validate their feelings so that you're keeping the communication open with your child.
I think there are adult struggles that stand in the way of us validating children's feelings. And here are a couple of things. Children in an early childhood program, and there is some sort of parade or show, and your child is the one screaming, crying, doesn't want to participate. Adults become embarrassed.
Yeah.
And they really want their child to be a part of it for a variety of reasons, but that's all adult stuff. We have to recognize that's about me, not them. And this parade, this show, this program is supposed to be about my child, not me. So we have to separate that, right?
Yeah.
And if your child is right, like Allison just said, it's supposed to be about them having fun. If they're not having fun,
and no, yeah. And honestly, it's 1 hour out of 1 year of your child. It's 1 hour. Okay. So what? You, an adult, is embarrassed for 1 hour. Okay. Would you rather your child be scared, or would you rather just say, hey, you know what? Let's go home, or let's watch from the side? Well, because sometimes it gets into like the whole sibling thing. Like, I had to stay here and watch your brother because your brother's in the parade and you don't want to be in the parade. Okay, let's watch from the side, or make sure there's 2 adults there so that somebody is still watching for the older brother or whoever. You know what I mean? Like, make sure you have something in place that if something happens, you can help this child who has fear.
But if you can't have 2 adults, you can just sort of say, fine, you can stay by me. And by the way, I'm not sure why adults take that on ourselves to be embarrassed. It's a normal part of development. It's fine. It's your child's temperament. I just want to release people from the embarrassment. There's no reason to be embarrassed.
I don't think any other adult there is making that happen. I think most of the adults are there for their children, and they're not going to be sitting there and be like, oh, haha, look at that. I honestly don't think they care. It's all in your head. Hopefully. Yeah.
I think that there are people who do that because they themselves feel insecure.
They feel
right?
insecure.
I think this is all such adult stuff that shouldn't be impacting the children. And I also think, at home, it's very challenging because you might have family members who expect certain behavior out of your children.
Yeah.
And that's when, as someone who's raising a child, we need to advocate for them. Yes. And we need to say, my child gets to have those feelings. And I'm not playing into this thing. Again, that's an adult thing. There are expectations that they've put upon you as someone raising children that have very little to do with the actual developmental stage of your child.
Yeah.
And so instead of giving into that familial pressure, what we need to do is say to people, this is a normal part of development at his age or her
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
There's no reason for anybody to be upset. This is what children of this age do. And for goodness sake, don't let people mock them for it. I have seen that too, where
Yeah.
children are mocked for their behavior.
Yeah.
No, I would not allow it.
Right. But you have to advocate for that to stop, because that's the only way that will stop, is if you put a stop to it. If you add into it, like so many people do, because they feel like pressured or whatever, that it's just going to continue. You want that adult behavior to stop, the mocking, then you need to put a stop to it.
We want the children to someday be open to these ideas. Maybe they'll never like it, but we want them to maybe someday be open to these ideas. When we shut the door on their emotions, we shut the door on the possibilities at the same time. It is, we need to let people know, as if, as people who may be listening who are leaders of early childhood programs, you really need to have a conversation with your staff around how we're going to handle it when children do not want to do this.
Yeah.
And if you are a staff member and your leader has said, I don't care, everyone is participating, there needs to be a conversation. Yeah. Share this episode. There needs to be a conversation about what we do when we do that to young children and completely invalidate their feelings. That's a crushing blow to a young child that stays with them throughout their lives. Yeah. It is okay if someone doesn't participate. Yeah. If you are listening to this episode from the perspective of someone who is raising a young child, it's not a bad idea to prepare your family ahead of time. Yeah. And say, these are the traditions we tend to do at this holiday. It's possible that my child isn't going to like this, and that's okay. I expect there to be no negative reaction to that, folks. Yeah. And if there is someone you can't talk to about that ahead of time, who you didn't realize would do it, you can't talk to, something happens you couldn't have predicted, my advice is to take your child and say, it's okay, and remove them from the room with you. Yeah. Not them themselves. You go with them and you sit with your child. Yeah. As Alison said before, we have to advocate for them because they can't. They don't have that voice yet to stand up for themselves. Yeah. Their way of standing up for themselves is the tantrum,
the hiding,
the
crying,
right?
Yeah, yeah. Because they don't know how else to express that.
That's how they stand up for themselves. Yeah. They will do that. They will melt down, tantrum. Yeah. They will hide behind your legs. Yeah. And there are times when we just have to turn to people and say, that's my child standing for what my child believes. And that's okay.
And that's okay.
And it's okay to say to children, maybe next year. Maybe next time.
Next year. Maybe not. It's maybe we won't try again. It's okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's painful as a parent, I think, when there has some sort of holiday event or traditional event going on and you see that your child is distressed. Yeah. It's like painful, and yet we often will let them sit through that distress.
Yeah. I know. That it's really quite sad. Because I also feel like you want to be making these really good memories with them. And a lot of the memories are surrounded by these holidays that we have. But then, like, when your child thinks back, do you want them to think back of like, oh, that's the day I sat in the corner and cried and nobody paid attention to me? Or do you want them to be like, oh, that I was sad, but my mom or my dad or my aunt or my uncle helped me, and then we did this instead. Like there's a way you can make it like almost like different traditions out of it too. Like you don't have to keep this generation after generation after generation tradition alive when your child does not enjoy it. You can make your own memories.
Wouldn't it be nice if this generation grew up and they were reminiscing and thinking back and they were remembering some long-standing tradition somewhere that they didn't like.
Yeah.
And they look at people and say, but I wasn't forced to do it
Yeah.
because I was scared.
I was scared. Yeah.
They didn't make me do it.
Yeah. That would be nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Right? Well, what happened when you cried? Well, someone comforted me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's
When
like,
I cried, my teacher came over and hugged me.
yeah, it's like that meme I keep saying. It's like somewhere somebody in the universe remembers you because you were kind to them. And you don't remember it at all, but like they remember you, and you were a stranger in their life, but they remember that kindness. And I feel like if you can remember a stranger being kind to you, then why don't you want to be a family member that's kind to your child, to the children that are in your life? Like, why you could be that person.
We have a choice all the time in the things that we do and say with young children, and it tends to fall kind of along one or the other. We've always got a this or that.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's called? This or that.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's play this or that. This, I guard my child's future mental health. That, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? This, I respect the children's emotions in my classroom. That is, I don't care how they feel. This or that.
Yeah.
Which are you going to pick?
Yeah.
And I think that as people who care about young children, we should always be picking this.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that what is a weird passing down in the generations of making fun of children just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I want to do more background or research about why adults do that, and maybe we'll do some sort of episode about it in the future. But there's so much making fun of children.
Yes.
So much making fun of children. Listen, folks, if you know why children are made fun of, let us know. But I can definitely see the harm in it. And I hope that you do too. So on our last episode, we did not shout out locations because we had the same locations, basically in our top 5. Right. But this week we have new locations. Yay! I'm so psyched. I'm so psyched. We have new locations to shout out. Let's see if this is where you are from around the world. In our top 3, we welcome the people in Thailand.
Hi, Thailand.
Yeah,
exciting.
Thailand. Right. Welcome. And it seems like you're all pretty much from one location within Thailand. So I don't know, maybe you know each other. Thank you for listening. Maybe you're somehow in contact with each other. And within the United States, a newer location in our top 5, Kentucky.
Ooh, hi, Kentucky.
Hello, Kentucky. Welcome aboard. I feel like when we run out of places, we're going to have to start doing cities.
Ooh.
Like, what city are you
that's
from?
going to be exciting. It's going to teach us a lot of geography about these places.
I'm terrible at full disclosure, I'm terrible at geography. And very often, secretly, but now not so secretly, when I look at these rankings, I have to look up where you are in the world. Sorry. But I didn't do well in geography. But now I'm learning so much, so thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. We are here every week. We hope that you continue to listen. We also have the account on Patreon, so please go to Patreon and help support this work. We really do want to extend and improve what we're doing. We have big dreams for this podcast and what it can do for you, but we wanted to do it in a way that you benefit from. So we do have tiers of membership that start in US dollars as low as $5 US a month. And I also, you can pay in whatever currency you pay, and it converts. Is that the right word? Converts for wherever you are online. So you can look it up at Patreon, patreon.com/how preschool teachers do it. And when we first announced this, we had very little content on there because it was new, but we keep adding. So please go on. And even more importantly, you'll be connected to each other. Can you imagine the people in Kentucky chatting online with the people in Thailand? That would be
my dream come true. That's what I wanted when we started the Patreon.
Yes, me too. It was one of our primary goals. So please do go on, and what it'll do is connect you with Discord, where the discussion forums take place. Bear with us through the technology, and we will get there, and it's going to be amazing.
Especially me, who's not good at technology.
It will be truly amazing when people in California are interacting with people in the United
Yes.
Kingdom.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
It would be amazing.
And that was one of our major
Yeah.
goals. So help us to reach our goal and become a patron. And we will catch you next
Bye,
time
peeps.
on the podcast.